But let me assure you one thing, they are selected after a very, very hard selection system. Very hard selection system. There are only one chief in a 1.25 million strong army today. So it's not that anybody is appointed. People can make mistakes. But let's not lose faith or confidence in your generals.
Good evening, sir. Sir, what your views on a point, you said we are one of the largest importers of weapons across the world. There's a big weapon lobby, sir, which operates and manipulates things. And every time we go in for a bigger purchase, the government makes announcements, there will be no price, no kickbacks, whatever. Or after every deal, somebody comes and says, "You rishwat khaya gaya," and then they say the deal is cancelled. This. Can we, as a nation, not accept and depend on our people who are going to buy the weapons? They must negotiate for the best possible thing at the best possible price. Uske baad agar weapon supply jo hai rishwat deta, let's accept it, because all over the world this is happening, sir. Your views.
Look, I cannot support Rishwat, but what you are saying and where there is something in it is that get the best experts in that field. You know, weapon systems today are very, very complicated, highly technical. So you cannot have 1 man, 2 men or 3 men being able to decide. You have to have a very large team carrying out proper scientific examination of every aspect, and then they are able to recommend that. But the finally, unfortunately, is the political system. एक politician कहता है हाँ ले लो, दूसरा politician कहता है नहीं दो. Not in India, but when you are dealing with other countries. I think long-term view, if you ask me, is why are we importing 70%? Why don't we take steps that we can produce? After all, we are a very large country. We are much richer today than we were 20 or 30 or 40 years ago. So, the problem is we do not have the technology. So we need to bring in the technology. When you need to bring in the technology, the persons from the foreign company, they are all private sector companies. They want to come in if they can see some profit in coming year. You can ask them to bring in technology, provided you are able to give them adequate profit in the system. You have a problem of, you are not increasing your FDI more than 26%. At the moment it is 26%. Recently the government has announced, in exceptional cases we may modify that. But it remains 26. That is the first hurdle for any foreigner to bring in the technology in your country. Second, you ask him to come and work with your ordnance factories or defense PSUs. There is a total mismatch. His culture of the company, you all understand that, is quite different. His working culture is quite different to your working culture in India. I'm talking of the public sector undertakings. And thirdly, as far as he is concerned, he wants you to buy off the shelf. He wants to get away with it. क्योंकि बड़ा profit उसको मिलता है. So you have to work in a manner. And I am suggesting today that when you have people like Tata and Larsen and Tubros and Mahindras and so many others who have today become economic giants. There was one chairman of the, I don't know, you would have all heard Bharat Forge, you know, Baba Kalyani. Baba Kalyani told me once in a city, he said, you know, General Malik, I can buy Bofors today with a company, Bofors Banati, a Swedish company. He said, I can buy it. But company, he is in any case number 2 when it comes to 4G in the whole world. He's not a small fry. So, but says, I'll spend money only if I know that yes, the government is going to give me orders. If the government is not prepared to give me any assurance of any orders, any assured orders, मैं अपना क्यों पैसा उसमें लगाऊं? After all, the shareholders की पैसे ही. So, I really don't know. I mean, it is, why are we not able to accept that? Now, lately the politicians have started saying, yes, private sector should come in, etc. But where is it not happening? Where it is being prevented is the nexus between the babus of the Ministry of Defence Production and the defence PSUs and the ordnance factories. They make sure that the rules are not modified, are not changed. They want to have their own stranglehold on this whole business. 70. तो वही मैं कह रहा हूँ ना, आप शॉर्ट टर्म सोल्यूशन तो ये है कि आप बाहर से लीजिए, बट लॉन्ग टर्म सोल्यूशन कंट्री के लिए सोचना है तो वो तो अपनी कंट्री को प्रोड्यूस करना पड़ेगा. वी आर नॉट ए स्मॉल कंट्री. वही तो मैं कह रहा हूँ कि आप कब अपनी सोच बदलेंगे. यस.
A very good evening, General. It was a real pleasure and enlightening to listen to your talk, sir. So thank you very much for being here. I've got 2 questions. First, is the bureaucracy and the political class of our country feels intimidated by the Indian Army? Second, was it anyway your article or text which prompted an unscheduled meeting of our present chief with the Prime Minister lately? We see a lot of proactivity going on that front, sir. These 2.
No, second question first. I won't take any credit for anything. Okay, but I did sound some people. And let's also give credit to the chief for what he has started doing. The first question, unfortunately, over the years, let me be very candid. Constitutionally, the armed forces are required to be ruled by the political leadership, civilian political leadership. When we say civilian control of the armed forces in democracy, it means under the political leadership, elected political leadership. Unfortunately, over the years, the control is not civilian political control, it has become bureaucratic control. So all the messages, all the orders that are given to me are by and large routed through the politics, through the bureaucrats. And I am also questioned by them. कि ये कैसे हो गया? The minister wants to know ये. The minister says this thing. Chief को तो यही बोलेंगे क्योंकि मैं उससे सीनियर हूँ. लेकिन पॉकेट में तो वो बैठा हुआ है उसकी मिनिस्टर की. मैं नहीं बैठा हुआ. आप जब मुझे बोफर्स के चाहिए, बोफर्स या कोई भी गन ले लो, मुझे कोई गन चाहिए. I remember during Kargil war only, within the first few days, 24 or 25 of our Bofors guns went off-road. जब आप उनको इस्तेमाल करते हो ज़्यादा तो वो खराबी होती हैं ऐसे. So I went to the Prime Minister and said, सर आपने तो बैन लगा दिया है, अब हमारे पास स्पेयर पार्ट्स नहीं है, कहाँ से आएंगे? So the Defence Ministry, दोनों में luckily I was attending meeting with Prime Minister twice or thrice a day also sometimes. So the Defence Secretary said, no sir, but it cannot be done, ये तो ये किया. लंबी कहानी. So luckily I was sitting on those meetings. Generally I am not supposed to sit on such meetings. I am talking of the equipment kit. So I told him, I said, look, you don't even know the whole history. आप तो कल आए हो मिनिस्ट्री किसी और मिनिस्ट्री से यहाँ पर. I can give you the whole history. So I spoke to the Prime Minister, gave him the whole history. Within 7 or 9 days, I got that ban lifted on purchase of spare parts from that very Swedish company. So these are the kind of practical problems that you have on decision making in the. Why are we not accepting Naresh Chandra committee recommendation? Why are we not accepting group of ministers report that you require a CDS today, Chief of Defence Staff, who can then, all the Army, Navy, Air Force की जो requirements हैं, उनको वो इकट्ठा करके coordinate कर सकता है. And he can be a continuous advisor to the Prime Minister or CCS. So I'm not suggesting at all that every person who sits in the Ministry of Defence or who is a bureaucrat is a bad chap. No, there are some very good people also. And I really give them full credit. But over the years, this is the culture that I have just described.
Sir, let me first compliment you on your very exhaustive and scholarly talk on this very, very important issue. I am from the civil services, but because I had seen fighting from close quarters, in 1965 I was posted at Firozpur. In 1971 I was SDM at Gurdaspur. And I also had Mr. Shakargar area as civil administrator for some time. So that way I realize the important role of the army. There are 2-3 questions. Number one, you spoke that the most important factors are political leadership and strategic culture. You talked about political leadership, but strategic culture, if you can kindly amplify what you meant by strategic culture, number one. Number two, these resolutions by the Pak Assembly, these came as a total surprise. Sir, do you feel that the civil administration or civil authority in Pakistan, is it intimidated by the army or is it in league with the army? Because otherwise Nawaz Sharif is in majority in Pak Assembly. Why the Pak Assembly should pass such resolutions? Number three, so why do you feel there is need to strengthen our intelligence services? Because sometimes the things come as a surprise, whether these are intrusions or whether they are certain other provocations. About the long delay in acquisition, about purchase of these equipment, you have already spoken. And finally, sir, has there been any financial audit of DRDO, our ordnance factories and others, to see whether what money we are spending on them, has it been worth it? Thank you.
Can I answer your questions in the reverse order? Firstly, as far as the financial audit is concerned, I'm sure they have their own audit. They are a government establishment, so audit must be there. No, that's what I had. In fact, I had suggested to a standing committee of the parliament on this. I said, you need to have a proper oversight on what they are doing, not anybody else. The CAG doesn't know anything about these matters. वो तो account ही जाएगा ना देखेगा. He doesn't know the capability whether we have acquired or not acquired. So you require an audit of the capability achieved by spending so much of money, right? That's what you want. That's what I also want. Now that cannot be done by the accountants who are the members of the CAG. You need to have an oversight of these things from within the parliament, who can take an independent lot of people and then carry out this examination and cite a report. So to that extent, the system requires refinement. You said about Pakistan Assembly, who's under whom? Army or the civilian government? My own feeling is that, initially I thought that Nawaz Sharif has suffered so much earlier in the hands of Pervez Musharraf.